So March Madness hits different in the Twin Cities, and I'm not talking about basketball. So here we've got 2 parades, playoff chaos, Tony winning shows, and a housing market shift that nobody's really talking about. This month is absolute chaos in the best possible way. And today I'm going to show you how to make the most of it. So St. Patrick's Day takes over both cities. Imagine yourself doing 2 major city parades in one day. So you're going to start in St. Paul at noon, and then you're going to hop over to Minneapolis for the evening parade. That's not just possible on Tuesday, March 17th. It's actually becoming a tradition for the serious St. Patrick's Day people. So St. Paul kicks things off at noon with what is actually Minnesota's largest St. Patrick's Day parade. And believe it or not, they're bringing it back to the original route from the early days, from Rice Park to Mears Park. And this isn't just some neighborhood thing. The St. Patrick's Association has been running this since the late 1960s, and it's super family focused, which means minimal motorized vehicles and tons of Irish dancers, bagpipers, and traditional music. So make sure you plan ahead a little bit. Street closures start around 10 a.m. for staging, so if you're going, you want to make sure you park in lots along Kellogg Boulevard or north of 6th Street East. Now, the cool thing is, right after the parade ends at Mears Park, you can literally walk 2 blocks to CHS Field, the home of the St. Paul Saints. Starting at 1 p.m., there's live music, Irish beer, food, all inside the stadium. I mean, it's really, really big tradition at this point. And downtown at the Landmark Center, they have the Day of Irish Dance with Irish music and dance performances throughout the day. Admission is less than $10, so it's pretty affordable if you want to make it a full-on Irish cultural thing. Later that same evening, Minneapolis has its own St. Patrick's Day parade at 6:30 on the Nicollet Mall. The route runs from 6th Street down to 12th Street and is actually a big deal because the parade spent a few years up in Columbia Heights during COVID restriction. Now it's downtown where it actually belongs. You also have the North Loop, downtown bars, and breweries like Finnegan's, Bauhaus Brew Labs, and Insight Brewing, all hosting their own special events. There's an official Minneapolis St. Patrick's Day bar crawl happening too. And quite frankly, the energy downtown is going to be pretty electric. So if you're the type that loves St. Patrick's Day, you could literally do 2 parades in one day. Not going to sugarcoat it. It's going to be a long day, but it's going to be tons of fun if that's your thing. And that kind of dual city celebration really shows you what makes the Twin Cities unique. And that same energy carries throughout everything that's actually happening this month. So speaking of that energy, it multiplies when you add playoff basketball and hockey into the mix. Now listen, if you're considering a move to the Twin Cities and you want that boots on the ground perspective on neighborhoods, like what different areas are actually like to live in, my team and I help people transition smoothly to Minneapolis and St. Paul every single day. All of our contact information is in the description down below. All right, so let's get back into it. So sports scene heats up. So both downtown arenas are packed with playoff type energy all month. And it doesn't stay in the building, but it spills into basically every bar and restaurant that you walk into. The Timberwolves are sitting 3rd in the Northwest Division right now. And these games are kind of the ones that can make or break where they land for the playoffs. We have some pretty big matchups coming up. March 3rd against Memphis and March 7th against Orlando at 2 p.m., which is awesome if you have kids because it's not a late night thing. The Timberwolves also face Phoenix on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, and a nationally televised ESPN game against Houston on March 25th at 9:30 p.m. So between the sports and all the downtown activities that comes with those games, Target Center is going to be buzzing with tons of people and energy. Those infrastructure investments are not accidents, not even close. When we talk about the development projects coming up later, you're going to see why this downtown momentum matters for property values long term. But before I get ahead of myself, let's get back to sports. Across the river in St. Paul, the Wild have 9 home games at Grand Casino Arena. Now, the Wild are in a pretty interesting spot. They're tied for second in the Central Division with a 29-14-9 record, so they're definitely going to make it to the playoffs. But here's the trade-off. They haven't won a playoff series since, believe it or not, 2015. Last year, they made it, but they lost to Vegas in the first round. The year before that, they missed the playoffs entirely. So this March stretch is really about building momentum heading into April. They have games against Tampa Bay on March 3rd, Utah on March 10th, Philadelphia on March 12th, all at 3 p.m. And again, that 3 p.m. game is great for families. And downtown St. Paul, especially West 7th Street and Cathedral Hill, those bars and restaurants are going to be bumping with a lot of traffic on game nights. Make sure you plan ahead if you're going down there because it can get kind of crazy with parking and getting a table. So between both venues, you're looking at multiple home games, creating consistent downtown energy in both cities. And for anybody that's considering the Twin Cities lifestyle, or you're thinking about buying a property here, this kind of urban vitality matters. It really, really does, believe it or not. Now, if you're thinking spring projects, there's one event you don't want to miss. The Home and Garden Show wraps up on Sunday, March 1st. So if you're watching this now, this is your final shot at this. Make sure you don't roll in after 5 p.m. unless you want to walk without deals that honestly won't exist any other time of year. The Minneapolis Home and Garden Show runs from February 25th through March 1st, so it technically overlaps into the first day of March, and this show is massive. You're talking over 55,000 people, hundreds of exhibitors, all spread across the convention center. And if you've ever been, it's basically wall to wall with ideas. They have multiple contractors, products, booths, and displays. Now, the cool thing is they do this annual plant sale after 5 p.m. on Sunday, March 1st. And this is where you can score deals on plants and gardening supplies because vendors are packing up and they don't want to haul everything back home. So make sure you time this right. The theme this year is country club living. So you've got full idea home tours, the Twin Cities ultimate backyard display, and even celebrity speakers like Captain Sandy from Bravo's Below Deck Mediterranean. I mean, who doesn't want to see that? Oh, and the restaurant scene updates we're covering later. Several of those new spots are doing spring openings, and you're going to want to know about those. So if you're a homeowner, relocating, or you're just thinking about spring projects, this is a pretty concentrated way to talk to contractors, compare products, and get ideas before everybody else starts booking up services for spring. Because once that happens, it's going to get crazy fast. And quite frankly, the housing market where it is, buyers have more leverage than they did in 2021 and 2022. So this is a really, really good time to think about what upgrades might make sense if you're selling, or what projects you want to tackle if you just bought your home. So for anyone preparing a home for the spring market or planning projects right after closing, this show gives you actionable connections in one afternoon instead of weeks and weeks and weeks of research. Who wouldn't want that? That's fantastic. This is a great event, but let me tell you what really sets the Twin Cities apart from other metros this size. That would be our theater and performing arts. So March might be the best month all year to experience downtown Minneapolis theater. It's not just one or two big shows. It's like everything is going on at once. The Guthrie Theater has multiple shows running. Macbeth continues on the Wurtel Trust stage through March 22nd. So by the time you're in March, the cast is really deep into it. And Shakespeare's whole ambition and destruction thing, it hits different when you see it live. Now, Sleuth opens on March 7th on the McGuire Proscenium stage, and this is a high-stakes thriller. It's basically two guys locked in a battle of wits, lies, and bargains, all building up to the ultimate checkmate. It runs through May 10th, so March is a great time to catch it early. The Mousetrap by Agatha Christie opens on March 15th. It's a classic whodidit story. The phone lines are cut at this manor. A guest turns up dead, believe it or not, and everybody's a suspect. And believe it or not, it's literally the longest running play in the entire world. And once you see it, you're going to get why. Orpheum Theater, Water for Elephants, the musical plays March 3rd through the 8th. This play received 7 Tony nominations, including Best Musical. What makes Water for Elephants unique is that they have actual circus performers, including clowns, hopefully with red noses, aerialists, and jugglers with fire. So it's not just about a musical, it's a full spectacle. Super, super cool. Later in the month, Jerry Seinfeld takes the Orpheum stage on March 21st, and then Shu Young Performing Arts runs March 27th through the 29th with traditional Chinese dance and music. Now, the Ordway Center has Kimberly Akimbo from February 24th through March 1st. This has won 5 Tony Awards, including Best Musical, because it is a musical. So if you're watching this in early March, you still have got time to catch it. Make sure you don't miss that window. This play is about a 16-year-old dealing with family dysfunction, a rare genetic condition, her first crush, and possible felony charges. So critics called it howlingly funny, believe it or not. It runs about 2 hours and 25 minutes with an intermission, so plan on a full night. And then Miss Doubtfire plays at the Ordway March 17th through the 22nd. It's the Broadway musical version of the movie, family friendly, and quite frankly, it's perfect timing for the week leading up to Easter. For families, Children's Theater Company has Dinosaur World Live running March 3rd through early April. Lifelike prehistoric giants, interactive stuff for kids ages 3 and up. So if you've got little paleontologists at home, I mean, this is pretty much a must-see. And over in St. Paul, the Fitzgerald Theater has a packed lineup. Kathy Griffin on March 5th and Drew Holcomb along with Ellie Holcomb on March 6th. They also have Jake Owen on March 19th and Greg Orion on March 20th. To wrap up March, they feature the High Kings on March 22nd, Colin Malloy of the Decemberists on March 27th, and Cowboy Junkies on March 28th. There is something for everyone at these venues with a variety of shows and musicals and musicians. So here's the thing. This concentration of Tony Award-winning productions and all of these different performances gives relocating professionals and families a real sense of the cultural depth here. It's not just 1 or 2 venues, it's a real art ecosystem. And that leads perfectly into what's happening at the arenas and clubs. If you're under 25 or over 40, March pretty much has you covered. There are a ton of concerts happening in March. You have current hits, but you also have pure 90s nostalgia, like the kind where you hear the first song and you're like, yup, I remember exactly where I was. Target Center has some big shows coming though. Bad Omens with Beartooth on March 2nd. 3 Days Grace with I Prevail on March 6th. Then Cardi B headlines March 12th at 7:30 p.m. And quite frankly, that's one of the biggest touring acts hitting Minneapolis this month. Then you've got Toby Mac, Crowder, and Jeremy Camp on March 14th for the Christian music crowd. Following that, you have New Edition, Boys to Men, Tony Braxton on March 22nd. I mean, if you grew up in the 90s, that's basically a nostalgia triple threat right there. Now, over at First Ave, which is the legendary venue from Prince's Purple Rain, you have Margot Price on March 5th, Dottie on March 7th, Peter McPoland on March 8th, the Floozies on March 9th, Hawthorne Heights on March 12th, Lucero on March 20th, and Wednesday on March 31st to round out the month of March, which is very exciting in the Twin Cities of all performances. And the cool thing is, First Avenue always brings that mix of indie rock, emo revival, and alternative music. The stuff you just can't really get at the bigger venues. So whether you're into arena shows or you want that intimate club setting, March delivers options across genres and price points with tons of variety. And here's the thing, variety actually matters when you're thinking about the quality of life. Now, here's where things get interesting for anyone thinking long-term about living here. So let's talk about the restaurant scene and development updates. Saturday's Dumpling Company's brick and mortar location in Northeast is new to you. Make sure that you actually check it out this spring. Their scallion pancake breakfast burrito has earned some serious following. It really has. It's freaking excellent. Now, I'm going to tell you about a bunch of restaurants opening specifically in March because, quite frankly, a lot of those opening dates still aren't locked in yet. But here's what's available or expected this spring that you're going to want to keep on your radar. So Saturday Dumpling Company opened its brick and mortar location in Northeast Minneapolis at 519 Central Ave in late 2024. And this was that pop-up that everybody's been obsessed with. Pan-fried dumplings, steamed dumplings, rice bowls, and believe it or not, that scallion pancake breakfast burrito have a cult following. So if you haven't been there yet, make sure you get over there and check it out. They're open Wednesday through Sunday. And Delilah, which opened in late January, is getting established in Northeast by now. It's a daytime cafe collaboration with the Minnesota Nice Cream. So you're talking breakfast, pastries, soups, salads, sandwiches, kind of that perfect neighborhood gathering spot. Additionally, some of the 2025 openings are really hitting their stride now. Salt and Flour in North Loop Green is doing homemade pastas and focaccia pizzas with an Italian market. St. Pierre Steak and Seafood from Isaac Becker and Nancy St. Pierre opened in early 2025 in the North Loop. Vianney, opened by Ya Vang, is a Hmong restaurant in Northeast in the former Dangerous Man taproom space that's been getting tons of reviews and a great buzz around it. So the dining scene, for the most part, just keeps evolving and it keeps giving you more options. Now, as far as development goes, you're not seeing ribbon cuttings in March, but you are going to see visible progress on some pretty significant projects. One development is the Heights in St. Paul. This is a 112-acre redevelopment site with a $430 million investment. They're completing all the public infrastructure, including roads, utilities, sidewalks, and lightings. So if you're in that area, you're going to see that transformation happening month by month, and it's pretty wild to watch. And then Minneapolis St. Paul Airport has a $500 million capital improvement project for 2026. You've got Concourse G expansion adding gate space and Terminal 2's north expansion with 2 new gates. There's also parking improvements featuring overhead red and green light guidance systems. So if you're flying through Minneapolis St. Paul Airport, you're going to notice the upgrades as they progress. It's really starting to feel different. And downtown St. Paul continues its revitalization. The St. Paul Downtown Development Corporation has an ambitious goal of adding thousands of residents to the downtown core. And you can kind of feel that momentum building. The downtown has incentives driving investment in catalyst properties. The infrastructure investments from airport improvements to downtown residential growth are signaling long-term confidence in where this region is going. And that confidence shows up directly in what buyers and sellers are experiencing right now. The real estate market snapshot. Homes are spending around 42 days on the market instead of 37. And well, that might sound small, but when you realize that's actually a significant increase, it actually changes the whole negotiation dynamic for buyers. Buyers get a little bit of breathing room now. So Minneapolis hit a median sale price in the mid 300s, which is up from last year. Prices are still rising, but buyers are taking more time and they're able to actually negotiate a little bit. They have more leverage than they did in 2021 and the 2022 frenzy. December saw 318 homes sold, which is down from 394 the previous year. So the market is still competitive. Redfin scores it at a 74 out of 100, but well-priced homes are getting 2 offers on average. And price per square foot is around $217, which is up about 1.4% year over year. What does this mean for you? If you're a buyer and you've got time to do your due diligence, you're not really going to walk into bidding wars on every single property like you were a few years ago. And nobody, quite frankly, wants that. And if you're a seller, here's the bottom line. If you price it right from day one, your home's going to move. But if you overprice it, still thinking it's 2022, you're going to sit. Not going to sugarcoat that one. That's just what's going to happen. Now, St. Paul is a little different. Median prices are in the low to mid 200s. December data showed around 295,000, which is basically flat as a pancake compared to last year. But homes are moving faster here. You're looking at about 31 days on market, and the market scores even higher on Redfin's competitiveness scale at a 78 out of 100. In December, we saw 223 homes sold, basically the same as last year. Price per square foot is around $189, down 1.6% year over year. So you're getting a bit more space for your dollar compared to Minneapolis for the most part. For relocating families and first-time buyers, St. Paul offers some pretty compelling values, established neighborhoods and walkable amenities, and all of it makes it so this is showing particular strength. But here's the thing. Inventory is selective. So when the right property hits, you need to move. Make sure you're ready. And across the broader Twin Cities metro, homes are selling close to the asking price with a balanced inventory overall. This isn't the crash people kept predicting. It's not the frenzy from a few years ago either. It's the kind of sustainable middle ground where transactions are happening at a healthy pace. Prices are appreciating modestly, and both buyers and sellers can negotiate favorable terms. So if you've been waiting for the right time, this window combines opportunity and stability. And as March transitions into April, the momentum only builds. So what's coming in April? As March wraps up, there are a few things you want to keep out an eye for in the month of April. The St. Paul Farmers Market at 290 East 5th Street kicks off in late April. And for relocating families, spending time at these weekend markets gives you more of a neighborhood insight than any data sheet ever could. And the hours are pretty straightforward. They're open Saturdays, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m., and Sundays, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. There is also the Mill City Farmers Market in Minneapolis, which typically opens in early May, so that one's a little bit later. Now, the cool thing is, outdoor patios start coming back across the Twin Cities as it warms up. And believe it or not, once patios are open, it feels like a whole city shift. Spring festival season really kicks in and relocation traffic picks up big time because families try to time moves with school year transitions. That's just how it goes. There's also the Twin Cities Home Expo, scheduled April 24th through the 26th. So if you missed the March show and you want another round of home improvement ideas, that's a great one to have on your radar. Now, here's the thing for buyers and sellers. The spring market traditionally gets the most active starting in April. So March is actually the perfect time to prepare, hire your agent, knock out any pre-sale improvements, get your mortgage pre-approval locked in, and position yourself for that seasonal surge. Make sure you don't wait until everyone else is already moving because it gets busy fast. These next few weeks actually set the stage for the busiest real estate season of the year in the Twin Cities. So March 2026 shows you exactly why the Twin Cities keep attracting relocating families and professionals. It's not simply events and amenities, but a genuine urban lifestyle that still feels accessible. So if you're thinking about buying or selling in the Twin Cities and you want straight answers, shoot me an email at team@hhgus.com. and I'll send you a detailed market analysis. My team and I work with relocating families and local buyers and sellers every single day. So you're going to get real info, not fluff. But if you want honest thoughts about living here before making a move, check out this video where I break down my personal opinion after living in Minneapolis my entire life. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video and at the next house.